Testing. Oh, I see it. Okay. Now, for this video, let's check out what would happen to efficiency. Okay, or what will happen to total social surplus when demand changes and or supply changes. Okay. Now, first of all, a word of warning. Okay, here the demand change and more specifically the supply increases is not because of a subsidy, okay, or they 撇除咗佢啊。Because later on, when we talk about subsidy and when we talk about tax, okay, things will be very different, okay? 好啦, now, with all that said, let's see what would happen when demand increases. What will happen to consumer surplus, producer surplus, and total social surplus? Okay, 嚟啦噃. Now, again, let's just use graphical approach. Let's just use graphical approach. And then I will tell you a very, how should I put it, right? A very efficient way, okay? 即係好有效率嘅方法啊，係咪啊？A very quick way to identify what is going on here. Okay, 好嚟啦。Here we have our demand equals to MB1, D1 啦，and this one supply 1 equals to our MC1. Now let's see. Originally, okay, this is our P1, this is our Q1. Well, I think by now you should know very clearly this triangle, the one above, will be our consumer surplus 1, and the one below will be our producer surplus 1. Okay, by now you should know. Here we are talking about when demand increases. Okay, so increasing demand goes this way. Okay, 嗱呢度撞嘅應該要畫得麻麻地嘅係咪啊？ Here and here also crash. So here we have D2 equals to MB2. 升咗啦，係咪啊？ This is an increase in demand. Now let's check what will happen. Let's check what would happen. Okay, obviously here we have our P2 increasing. We also have our Q2 also increasing. What will happen to consumer surplus? It will become this one. Okay, this triangle. Consumer surplus 2. 嗱，如果畫出嚟咧，你會見到咁嘅。This is our CS1. Well, here, here will be our CS2. 好啦，邊個大啲啊？ Which one is bigger? 呢阿 Sir 唔好重疊喎。No overlapping. How do I know which one is bigger? Okay, my boys, by the virtue of they are parallel, I think you should know that they are similar triangle. So by ratio, we know that CS2 should be larger than CS1. Okay, so here we can see when demand increases, consumer surplus would increase. Of course, it means when demand decreases, consumer surplus would decrease. 係咪？即係咁嘅意思啦，係咪？好啦， what about producer surplus？ 嗱，仲易睇啦 ，producer surplus 咩啊？ Producer surplus, new price is here, new quantity is here, becomes this guy. Okay? So originally, down here. Now, 嗱重疊啦，今次係咪啊？ Now it's 等陣先嚇，係啦 it's here. Okay, now it's here. You see, it would have increased definitely, 係咪啊？ Producer surplus 2 also larger than producer surplus 1. Meaning here, producer surplus increase. And of course, if demand decreases, this one will decrease. 好啦， first, without government in the equation, when both increases, what will happen? We know that total social surplus, of course, increase. This one, of course, decrease. Okay, 好嘛? So in conclusion, we know that when demand increase, both consumer surplus and producer surplus, okay, here would go up. leading to an increase in total social surplus. OK， 好嘛？嗱，what about supply? Will things become different? The answer is no, actually. 好嘛，照樣啦。Let's draw here. 今次我預鬆少少啊，預鬆少少啊，好嘛？嗱，this is our demand equals to MB。哇，咁要 supply 我哋唔好畫到咁盡啦，係嘛？Here, let's say supply is right here. This is our supply one equals to MC1. Then of course 照舊啦 ，P1 Q1 係嘛？照舊啦，好嘛？Up here we have our CS1 and down here we have our PS1 好嘛？照舊啦。Now with an increase in supply which goes to the right， 唔好意思啊 ，shift 得有啲樣衰 ，which is here S2 equals to MC2. So what would happen? First of all, price would decrease while quantity would increase. Now let's check our consumer surplus first. Now definitely 你見到好明顯啦，係咪啊 ？Very clearly， 呢度畫歪咗啊，呢度應該係同嘅。Definitely you will see. This is our consumer surplus one. Well, this is our consumer surplus 2. Okay, you will see consumer surplus 2 is larger than consumer surplus 1. So here, increase, and of course, you can expect this would decrease as well, right? Now, what about producer? 又係啦 producer, this time will become this guy. We have our producer surplus 2. 咁即係上面咧要畫返啦，係嘛？ We have our consumer surplus 2, which if we draw out, you will see this is 2 and this is 2. 咧，阿 Sir 又係個問題喎。They do not overlap. How do I know? By the virtue that they are parallel. You see similar triangle. So what happened is that you will find that the second producer surplus is also larger than the first producer surplus. So here, increase, and of course this one decrease. 又係啦 without the intervention of the government, both consumer surplus and producer surplus increase, leading to here increase and decrease. So boys, it is actually very easy to remember because when demand increases or supply increases, all of them go up. 係咪好易嘅？完全冇任何 complication 㗎。It just goes up. When demand goes up, it just goes up. Everything. When supply goes up, everything goes up. Okay, 好嘛？ Now, of course, you can recite this or you can derive it on your own, right? But can we think of a simpler way to think about this? 我考試冇理由每次我一係硬背呢個，我一係又畫翻出嚟，冇理由咁戇居㗎嘛。There is a simpler way to think about it, okay? So, boys, story time before we end this video, okay? 係嘛？我哋嚟到個 story time 啦。好啦 ，Now let's start with an introduction, okay? Think about it from a consumer perspective. Now, when would you be happy? 你諗下你幾時會開心啊？ When would you be happy? There are two situations. If the price decreases, would you be happy? Yes, I will be happy. And if I can buy more, would I be happy? Of course, I would be happy. Right? 好嘛？好啦，倒轉啦。For a producer, when would you be happy? When price increases, because you will receive more revenue, right? Then you will be happy. And of course, if you're selling more, you are also happy. Very intuitive, right? 係咪？好 make sense 啊！平咗 consumer 咪開心咯，買多咗咪開心咯。貴咗 producer 咪開心，賣多咗咪開心咯。Makes a lot of sense, right? Now, therefore, okay, this one. We will visit this again. But for now, let's just deal with demand increase. We think of it from two perspectives. We have consumer and producer. Okay?我諗先 producer, for producer, demand increases, price increases. Are you happy? Yes, I'm happy. You are selling more. Are you happy? Of course I'm happy. Too happy. 兩個加埋都 happy. What does that mean? You will be happy. 開心啊，即係咩意思啊？ Producer surplus increase, right? Makes a lot of sense. What about consumer? Consumer 仲簡單啦，唔使諗呢個啊 ，boys. When will demand increase? Demand increase when consumer value the good more 啊，覺得隻 goods 好嘅黐線，value the good more 啊，佢覺得隻 goods 好咪 demand 高啲咯。So by definition, if demand increases, it must means consumer is simply happier with the goods. Therefore, consumer surplus must increase. 係咪啊 ？By definition 㗎，OK? And what about supply? Here, when supply increases, think about it from two perspectives. Consumer perspective and producer perspective. Again, when would supply increase? 幾時會做多啲啊？ When the producer, right? When the producer value the good more. So by definition, it must mean achieving. Producer is happier, 一定嘅。Therefore, producer surplus by definition must increase. 唔使即唔使背係咪？唔使畫圖嘅。Then here, consumer surplus, supply increase, price decreases. Are you happy? Yes, I'm happy as a consumer. And I'm buying more. Are you happy? I'm also happy. Happy. Very happy, right? It means that consumer surplus increases. You see, right? There is no need to think about anything too complicated. Just use our daily life logic. You can already deal with all these kind of questions. Okay, 好嘛? So, in this video, we talk about demand changes, supply changes, and how it changes consumer surplus, producer surplus, and subsequently total social surplus. Okay, now that would conclude this video. For the next video, which is a fifth video, it's going to be quite a long one. Why? Because we'll be looking at at the video 1 to 4 with a lot of past paper practices. Okay, 好嘛? So I will see you in the next very long video then. Bye bye.